All right.
So welcome to the beautiful Kimberley Mason. I'm so excited to have you here, and I got goosebumps. I'm just gonna feel into that love. So much love for you. Oh, I'm getting all teary.
Oh, I'm excited to be here.
I'm just gonna let that flow, but you just inspire me daily.
Oh,
In the mother that you are, in the leader that you are, as a teacher, as a Christian. I love your message. I love, and when I saw your page, being a lifelong learner, I just loved it. Have I said that correctly?
yeah, you've said it all right. Yep.
And every single time, without a doubt, when I take a moment to look at your page or your stories or your posts, I just feel you have so much value to offer women like myself. And I aspire to be like you in so many ways, and helping so many other women navigate, like, how do I be the best mum I can be in this world? How do I be a modern Christian woman with all this other stuff around me? How do I take care of myself without feeling all these boundaries and stigmas? I feel like there's a lot of women I work with have so much pressure. And what you offer is just so powerful, so practical. And when I see you go live, you go, I just had this idea, or like, I remember the one you had with kids and playing and storytelling. And I can just see your expertise and knowledge as a teacher and love as a mum come through. And I was like, that is so magical. Like, I would love to have you on my show so I can raise your profile, and then also, we can serve both of our communities with your message. Yeah. So thank you so much for saying yes and being in my world. I am truly grateful.
No, I love being in your world as well. You do so much to empower other women, which I just love.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So I would love to hear from you, for the listeners that haven't met you before, and it's also good for your followers to really understand your story, to tell a little bit about where you are and how you came to share your life so publicly, and what you're doing, what you're aspiring to do.
Yeah, no, definitely, I'd love to. So obviously I've been on Instagram for a couple of years. I'd probably say 4, I don't know, maybe about 7 years. And then probably the last couple of years, I thought, no, I want to change it around. And really the reason why I wanted to change it around was because my eldest has just become a teenager. So obviously as a teacher and a mum, I was aware of how much social media is a part of a teenager's social identity. So I really wanted to get my head around Instagram and other social media outlets so that I had a better understanding to help my daughter and my kids as they come up. So I sort of looked at what I was doing with my page and decided to change it to one where I was hoping I could encourage, based on being a mum and being a teacher. And a lot of my things is not just based on my academic knowledge, but from my experience from teaching in different schools and with my own kids. And with my kids too, they're all very different in the way they learn. And I think sometimes we can get caught up in the academic jargon and not get enough practicalness. And I do feel like experience speaks volumes more than the amount of academic knowledge you can read, or I love reading and that's still important, but you do need to also experience it. So that's how I sort of came up with the idea of changing it. Obviously, as an educator, I'm really passionate about learning. I still feel like I'm constantly learning. I feel like my life's a learning journey. That's sort of a philosophy I try to instill in my children and my students. One of the things, I teach U12, so one of my students, I often tell my students that you might have dreams now, but those dreams might change or they might alter, and that's okay. You don't have to have just one big dream. You can have a number and your dreams can keep changing, and that's one of the blessings that we have. And like you said, I am a Christian, so I do feel like that in order to have an understanding of who you are and knowing where you're going and really understanding how to have that calm among the chaos, you do need to have a purpose. So if you don't know where your purpose is coming from, so if you don't have your answer to your what, it's very hard to know your why and your how. So obviously as a Christian for me, having understanding of where I've come from and where I'm going really helps me keep that sort of calm and chaos. I mean, still, obviously, I have those times where everything is chaotic and you're not having much calm, but you can come back to it and go, oh, hold on a second. No, I don't need to worry about that. I can let that go. That's not important. And definitely as a teacher in the classroom, you do have to do a lot of that in terms of managing that environment, because it can become chaotic a lot of the time. So yeah, I think I've sort of summarised it. So I have created a website on my page too, which there will be a new way I'm going with that to help and support mums and dads. That's more a little bit with my Christian journey, but that's also got to help with literacy. I'm finding that literacy is really low in our country. I don't think people realise how low it is. I don't know if that's due to our increase on being on technology, or I think it's going to be a bit of a controversial thing for me to say, but I think as generally as Australians, I don't think we value education in the way that some other countries do. And that's not a bad thing. I think we have a lot of great traits in terms of being relaxed, and we have good work ethic and all those things. But I think when it comes to education, it's not usually on the top of our to-do list. And I think if you want to encourage your kids to read, they need to see you reading, is one of the big things that I can probably share. Yeah, like it's important to read to your kids, but if they see you enjoying reading, that sort of instills that lifelong learning, that they'll want to just do it on their own initiative and incentive and that sort of intrinsic motivation. So yeah, so that's sort of where I'm going. So I feel like the page is evolving. I definitely want to say it's not a business, so it's not like I'm selling anything or anything like that. It is really just there to inspire and share my practical tips through life. So yeah.
Well, thank you. I really do value them. So I'm looking forward to the website when it comes and checking that out.
Yeah.
Tip about reading, because like, to be honest with you, my children don't see me reading because I read in my quiet time.
Yeah.
So they see me sometimes in prayer in the morning if they get up early and I'm in kind of my time, and they'll come and sit with me and I'll go, oh, would you like me to read you a story? And I'll read them something from the Bible, so they see that.
Yeah.
Put them to bed, that's when I get to do my reading.
Yeah.
And often when I have available time, it's with them playing whatever. So that's a really good tip.
Yeah, but that's important too. I think it's probably more too, I mean, we definitely, in my house is even like this now that I've moved, we're very minimalistic. So if books aren't seen, if they can't see the books, it is very hard for that to be drawn. So like even for like infants or toddlers, I often say to them, take them to the library once a week. It's free. Obviously, it's been a bit hard in lockdown that we haven't been able to do those things, but by taking them to a library even and just letting them flip through books, that sort of gives them that encouragement of like, oh, I do like this book and I like the feel of it. And even my youngest, who isn't really a strong reader, loves going to the bookshop and buying a book.
Yes.
So, and it's just giving that encouragement again, and that like, oh, I do like learning and I do like flipping through and looking at words. So, yeah.
Yeah, they do love going to the library, my kids.
Yeah.
And it's like they have a sense of ownership. It's like purchasing, like when they give the money over the counter,
that's right.
They give their card over and they get the book. And, and the responsibility to care for it and take it back on time. And and that's a beautiful practice. That's a great tip.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's all right.
I just wanted to share with you what's coming up for my clients, because I feel you do this really well, and maybe get your top 3 tips and what they're struggling with in their busy life. And as a lot of them are trying to homeschool and do their job and do that well, is about how do they increase their presence with their children?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Yeah, their kids are coming in, but they're feeling like, oh, come on, because I've got this to do and that to do. And I've given them my tips, but I'd love yours.
Yeah, I think the big thing with online learning, obviously, we're just almost out of it now in New South Wales. And it has been tricky, especially for people living in Sydney, because they've been pretty much in lockdown the whole of term 3. The big thing that I sort of tried to share earlier on in my page and it's definitely hard with your younger children. I think if you've got teenage children, you're dealing with other issues there, not them completing tasks, but I'll go into that in a second. But if you've got younger children, a lot of them do need that direct teaching. So they need you to be there to take them through each step. And if you're working, you just physically cannot do that. And if you don't want them to, and you don't want to burn out, and you don't want them to burn out, and you don't want this sort of friction to evolve, what I sort of was trying to tell people on my page was that just pick one or two things to do. Like, don't feel like the whole, 7 or 8 tasks that the teacher has set that the child needs to do it. The teacher's expectations wouldn't be for the child to do it. It's more so that it's there if they want to do it. So I would definitely say a plan in place where you can cut down the amount. And I think some schools were doing that. Some schools would say if they were doing something on ants or learning about ants and their journey, you might, if your child was really fascinated with that, then just spend the rest of the week going outside looking at ants and, following their journey. So it's sort of trying to adapt it to fit what your child's interested in. And then just narrowing it down. If they're playing outside and you're able to get a couple of hours of work done and they haven't done any of those maths tasks, that's okay. Get them to help you in the kitchen and they can maybe count the ingredients that you're putting into whatever you're cooking. So I think it's more like looking at practical ways. And I think like say, if it's not going to stress you out too much, helping them cook dinner, that's got enough in it that's pretty much covered their quota for learning that day. So even if they haven't done all the tasks, if they've helped you read the ingredients and had to measure things, that's maths and science and English all in one activity. So for me, for the younger one, he never ever completed all the tasks that were set on his thing. He'd only do 1 or 2. That didn't stress me out. I can understand for some parents that might. But especially if you're looking at those ages between K to year 2, they've got a long time to achieve those outcomes. So I say take a breath, and then the second tip is just reduce the amount that you're doing. And the third tip would be set something that you can do with your kids together that will bring you enjoyment. So whether that is going outside for a walk or playing in the park or playing a board game together, anything like that. Because I think one of the benefits of lockdown has been about building those connections again and reconnecting in a way that we couldn't do before. So for me, it was a letting go of a lot of the, schedules that you usually have in place, because you didn't have to. There was no co-curricular activities or anything like that. Yeah. So that's probably those are the 3 tips there.
Yeah, well, they're all amazing. I didn't think, I do cook with my kids, but it is all of that, isn't it? And even ones, can you get me 2 eggs? Let's count 1, 2 instead of having to read it. And where would I find this? And which one's a quarter and which one's a half? And just asking them those questions. Yeah. So So I think we need to learn to be easier on ourselves. I think like you were saying before, I think as women, especially now more than ever, we feel like we need to, have the career, be the great mum, have the right house, all those sort of things and the extra pressures. And, it's great that we have the ability to be able to do all those things, but we also need to know, okay, we don't have to do it all at once or all right now, or peel back on the things that you don't really want to do. And it can be tricky to find that balance, I think. Yeah, so true. And I do a lot of work with women saying, we're just divinely perfect now as we are. It's not when we lose the 5 kilos or when we get that job or the money that money's in the bank account or when this kid gets into this school. It's like right now in this moment, we are as we are.
That's right.
And it's just each day better. Like, what is just the next step?
Yeah.
And you're being okay with that, like within our hearts and the full acceptance and letting go of that expectation.
Yeah, it's so true. No, I totally agree with you. No, it's such an important point that we need to make sure that we encourage each other with, because I think we do sometimes feel like we need the next thing and the next thing and not just enjoy what we've got right in front of us.
Yeah. And in the tapping into each other and rising each other up too. So I can't do everything, but if I have a client that wants to ask me things that I think are relevant with you, and then I can connect them with you.
Yeah.
She's doing that, and I need to do what she's doing. It's like, actually, let's just all support each other. Like, what else can we do? How can we like help everyone on the planet?
Yeah, I know, I love it. And I think, and that's what I really love about your page and everything you're doing. I feel like you do really empower women, especially, just to be who they want to be, and that we're all different, and that's okay. And we can all support each other in our different paths, which is what we need more of, I think, especially in times like this.
I agree. We're all evolving. We all want it, like an ideal life looks different to all of us, and we should just celebrate that. And if you've got some ways you can help another woman, I've just got goosebumps. Well, let's share that, and let's share that, you know.
Yeah.
Most of the time it comes back tenfold.
Yeah.
Really
it does. No, it does. I definitely think that. I think the more you give out, the more you feel like you're receiving. Yeah, there is something about generosity and giving or encouraging that you feel also like your cup's filling up. I feel like it's the same with kindness too. Yeah, I feel it has the same thing.
So true. Well, I cannot wait to see you physically in person and hug you, and there'll be lots of tears and joy and connection with my family and yours, and my husband and yours.
Yes.
And my son, that's your godson. Like,
I know.
Amazing. So thank you. Thank you for today. Thank you for your wisdom. We will put all of your links in the show notes, so people can continue to follow you, and your community will grow, and we can keep doing this beautiful stuff together. And thank you just for personally inspiring me. I do see whenever I see your work, I just connect with it straight away. And then on days when I feel like maybe I don't have it, I'm like, I'm just going to take your courage or your wisdom or your devotional is exactly when I need to see it.
Oh, good.
So I'm really grateful. So keep on doing that, because I love it. The other humans do too.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. And I really appreciate everything you do as well, Jody. It's been a pleasure to be on here with you and having a chat.
Oh, it's been awesome. So thank you. I'm going to hit the recording. Otherwise, people will just be getting us loving on each other. But there'd be more of that too in the world today. So take care. God bless everyone, whether you're watching us on the YouTube channel or you're tuning in on your favorite podcast. Thank you so much for being with us, and see you next time.
Yes. Bye.